Okay, here we are with the master cylinder. After it's been all cleaned up, I was able to hone the cylinders and get them cleaned up pretty good inside there. You can potentially see hone marks, but we want to clean up the bore. I called it a cylinder, but bore. And all the ports have been blown out. I'll do that again real quick. It's always a good idea. Alrighty. So we got a little check valve and whatnot to put in here. Let's get our kit. All the way from Germany. Little instruction manual, but I already read that, but I'll let you know what it says. It talks about, for master cylinders that have used the split Teflon seal in the past, discard this and no longer use it. The new seal is thicker, and this would prevent it from working properly. So, discard. It's nice they send you that, so they don't leave you guessing. Not much to these. Basically, if this bore is any good at all, and you put some new seals on it, the master cylinder should work. If not, replace the cylinder, which gets very expensive. So the valve, this little check valve here, put the little brass plunger in. Goes down in there, you can see it. Then we have a little check ball. Doop. Down in there. Spring, because that is a valve. Then here is the other clean valve with the spring. And we need a new sealing washer. Luckily that came in the kit. Put this on there. I'm going to put a little bit, let me grab it. I like a little bit of fluid film or something on the threads. Use our metric wrench. Just enough to squish that copper washer. There, that looks nice. And got our little bleeder screw here. Mostly because I don't want that to rust in place. On the other master cylinder, a pressure sensor goes here. So let's get that snug. All right, snug that up. Now, here is basically the piston plunger combo. Oh, time to go. Sorry about that. So what we have here is two seals. One here and one here. That Teflon backup washer was right here actually. And then if you look closely, which I'll show you, there is a little brass washer that stays here. Let's see if I can't. It's in front of this. It'll be better when I get the seal off. That is what helps with the pressure, is that with all these holes here. That needs to stay there. That's an important piece. And then, of course, note the direction of your seals and which way they open. So we'll get these off. See, they're not in the greatest shape. Been on there a while. This was new once. So there we go, pop those off. There, I don't know if you can tell, there is that brass washer. There it goes. And depending on the pressure and the suction, it flaps over those holes. So let me go hit this real quick with a wire brush. And this one will go on here. This is a tight one. This is the one, if you're lucky, you'll break it. Come on now. Let's put a little bit of lube on there, make it hard for me. The lube did not help me at all. Okay, once we have that on, this is brake safe caliper lube for inside .4, .5 systems. Comes with all this. Just lube it up good. Give it all the help it can get. Alrighty. So then, spring goes down in. That's what's going to push our plunger back towards the pedal. So spring, plunger, and then we have a washer. So I'll get some lube on here. It gets pushed in. Then the retaining ring. That's all that holds that. And then this would be your brake pedal. It would get pushed down. Then we have new rubber. Goes in here and holds the master cylinder reservoir. Split master cylinders, but it shares one reservoir. This one will go down into this grommet. This shoots over to the other master cylinder. All right. And that about does it. You find out how well it works once we put it on the tractor. Alright, so here is a caliper. Came off in its natural form. Got this bleeder cracked loose still. Go ahead and get it off. They take a lot of beating. Then spring. Luckily, fluid's still coming out. It's always a bonus. on, bolt. Looks like this is going to have a stubborn bolt too. This is what happened on the last one. That bolt is slightly bent in there. Alright, here is all the crap we'll get rid of between the caliper and the mounting bracket. I parts wash all this, blow it off. Alright, and you can kind of see, oh, it fell down a little bit, sorry about that. You can kind of see nasty boot, and that's not good for the pistons. These were well overdue. Then I can go and knock out the brake pins. Wear plates, pads. Think there's anything left of those? There's a new pad. There's an old pad. Nothing. Here's some of the others. There's some of the other seals. This is a good one. Junk. That's not going to stop anyone. And for how fast these tractors go, you want good brakes. Alright, so then we got 4 15 millimeters. Now we got 2 halves that are pretty gnarly looking. These are very expensive to get new, and not even sure they are available. I think he said that they were like 900 bucks potentially. So what I have here is the other 2 calipers. All these came out fine. These have a slight bend in them, so I'm going to leave that in there because it doesn't bother me. The threads are okay. I can get it put back together. I'm going to invest in that keep it simple stupid plan. Not everything has to be addressed if that isn't really a big issue and it ain't going to space. Yeah, look at that. You can kind of see where the piston got up there too high and the seal's destroyed. That'll get rusted real bad. This, there's almost nothing left to even grab a hold of. These were new once. Somebody's probably been there, I'd like to think, before me. Get these blown off. So one thing I do is you got to get those pistons out, and they're stuck in there. So what we'll do is leave a rubber seal on. And then I'm going to take my air hose with a rubber tip. I'm going to see if we can't see this somehow. Let me see if I can get this set up. Alright, so I got a little bit of a light there. What you're going to watch for, if you can see it, is this piston. That didn't work. Round two. Take two. We have no problem sacrificing cameras so you guys can see the footage. So put a little lube there. Get my piston to move first, and next time before I start filming, try to get some of that brake fluid out more. Sometimes that helps you, sometimes it makes a mess. So, lubed up. Put a sealing ring back on this again. We're going to try this again. Alright, different setup with a little help of the vise. Hopefully you can see this. It'll be at a weird angle, but here we go. That's how we get them out. Hopefully that was a good image. There is the piston. And it is out. So there is the inside. Same thing as I showed you. And I'm going to do that again. Get this other one apart so we can get her all back together. Okay, here we are with the Deutz DX90 caliper rebuild. I got some of them cleaned up, and when I'm just putting them together here, rust can have an effect on them for sure. It's definitely negative when the caliper has got its piston stuck out and the seal's bad and it starts to rust. But inside here is a new seal. That's all that seals it. And then there's two rubber O-rings that go here, where they're like flat seals. And they'll go here, and that seals the two halves together. So what I've done so far is I clean both bores and sides and where the pads will slide here. And this one I have set in, and I have the seal started. What I got to do is get that seal pressed on. So let me bring you over to the press and I'll show you how I put those on without damaging them. Okay, so what I got here is some plates blocked up. Got a socket that fits that seal. I bring it in here. I line it up on this seal. Turn the valve here on the press. And then I slowly take her down. Alright, bring her up a little. Reposition. Take her up. Make sure the seal's not damaged. Everything looks real good. Let's see here. So right there, the seal is on. and no damage. And now that half of the caliper is done. Let's come over here. Let me get you set up. This project's next. Oliver Super 55 engine assembly. Alright, let's see if I can't get you set up here. I'm trying. Alright, so switch over to here. Plenty of lube. I like dropping stuff. It's fun. Okay. Plenty of lube. Get that on the piston. This is all .3 and .4 approved brake lubricant to not hurt the rubber seals. Actually, it's a great kit they come with. Alright, so all lubed up, so I get the seal started. Kind of get it, if I'm lucky enough, started with my hand. There we go. Push down to where that seal starts. And then we do the same thing again. See if I can't show you one more time. Bring you on over. Getting somewhat used to maneuvering the camera. Having a better camera sure helps. Let's see here. So again, we get her all lined up. Put some light pressure on it. Nothing significant. Just trying to work that seal on so we don't damage the rubber. And sometimes you just gotta look for the high spot if she wants to be ornery. But in the end, I win, even if that means a new seal. All right. Looks good. Piston goes down. Alrighty. So I'll put a little bit of lubricant on these seals and the face of the pistons. Alright. Then I got that brake lube that's good for .3 and .4. I use a little bit of grease to hold that O-ring in. Again, this isn't necessarily the exact way to do it, it's just the way that I'm doing it. So now what I have is two halves, and I got to bolt those halves together. Threads are in this half, so this is actually the top. Get a couple of those bolts ready. Alright, set her down on there. Get those started. I run them down to get them close. That way I don't have those seals come out. Put the last 2 bolts in. And actually, if you don't put these bolts in first, they end up blocking the bleeder screw. If it was in, ends up blocking these bolts. Alrighty. So now both halves are mated together. So this was designed like many other calipers out there. You have the ability to quick change the pads. Lube that bleeder. I've already cleaned and blown out both halves of the caliper and the bleeder screw. So that's in and snug. So now we have new pads, new plates. So here are wear plates for behind the pads. Here is a set of new pads. So let me get you back. I'll clean these 2 pins up on the wire wheel. Okay, pins are cleaned up. I like to give them a little bit of lube love. Alright, you have 1 plate that'll go on the back. You can start this pin a little bit. Alright. Alright, throw this pad down in. Then we'll come over and go into the next pad. Just checking something here on that plate. Alright. There's the other plate. There's more creative ways to do this. I think on the other side I might have assembled them while I put the caliper together. This kind of shows a little bit on supposedly their theory on how easy they were. So here we have a plate, pad, and a wear plate. Then those pins are here and here, and they just get tapped down in. And they have a shoulder and a little spring clip. So that is in. Plate and pads, they slide easy. Plate and pad. Then there's a clip here, a little spring clip, and it goes in here. Keep tension on the pads at the same time keeping them spread apart after you apply the brakes. Okay. Looks like that caliper is complete. Then it has the mounting plate that it goes on, which is right here. This one had a bolt that wanted to be a little finicky, so I left the bolt in because I don't let it bother me that it didn't want to come out because it's slightly bent. It can stay in there. So let's see here. Let's start the one bolt. And although I never minded the cross-threaded is better than Loctite theory, I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to get them started by hand. And being that this one bolt is nice and tight, it's going to give me problems. Alright. Yeah. That one has a bent bolt. See if I got a different socket here. Stop recording. And magic, the bolts are tight. So those are both locked in. So these two bolts hold it to the mounting bracket. Our pads are still in there, moving around like they should. And they kind of just hang in there until you get it put around the caliper. And now what I'll do is do this one more time. There's a total of 4 of these. And I'll put them back on the tractor and we'll work on the bleeding process.